Hi there, I'm Matt Donnelly of RotoBaller, and I'm here to tell you about 3 wide receivers that are poised to break out in 2023. And I'm not talking about the obvious ones here like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, or Chris Olave. These guys are already being drafted in the first 3 rounds. They've already broken out. I want to go deeper, and it starts in Washington with Commanders wide receiver Jahan Dotson. Now Dotson, he has been moving up my draft boards as of late, and with the recent news regarding Terry McLaurin and that toe injury, Washington is hopeful that McLaurin can return ahead of opening night, but all early indications are this is a grade 2 sprain and could potentially keep him out up to 6 weeks and potentially linger on throughout the season. Also, I can't believe right now that my life centers around another man's toe. I basically know exactly what Rex Ryan had felt most of his life. Now, current ADP would suggest that McLaurin was coming off the board as wide receiver 22, which felt like a steal for a player that had top 12 fantasy wide receiver aspirations if given an actual quarterback. Meanwhile, Dotson's ADP is that of wide receiver 36 and is coming off a draft board somewhere between rounds 8 and 10. Now, I mentioned that McLaurin was a quarterback away from being a top fantasy pass catcher. Well, Sam I Am Howell, he may be good enough to get the most out of these Washington receivers, especially considering that Dotson, he saw only 71.2% of his targets last season as being catchable. Now, the biggest knock on Dotson was that sub 16% target per route run rate last season, along with the 1.39 yards per route run. But with McLaurin either missing time or being eased back into action, those numbers are both likely to increase. By week 18 of last season, Dotson's first read target share was around the 30% mark, which was amongst the best amongst the rookie class. And that was just behind Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Drake London. Now, when targeting a breakout player, I want them to be their quarterback's first read. That's usually a pretty good indication that a player is going to have success. And those numbers, they don't lie. Look at what Dotson did from week 13 on. He would average 12.6 PPR points per game, and he also received a 23% target share. Yeah, those first 3 targets, they mean a lot. As a rookie, per Matt Harmon's reception perception, Dotson had an 80% success rate versus zone coverage. He was in the 87th percentile for success rate versus press coverage, and he finished top 10 in contested catch rate. Those are all trump cards. Whether it was vertical routes or comebacks, Dotson posted elite success rates. Last season, Dotson was a top 25 receiver on 5 occasions while playing in just 12 games thanks to a rookie-leading 7 touchdowns. He was basically undefendable down in the red zone. With the type of metrics that we see last season, and you take into account what we can project over a 17-game season, it won't be long before Dotson outperforms his 35-catch, 523-yard rookie campaign. In week 2 of the preseason, Dotson saw a 22% target share and was responsible for 44% of the Commanders' air yards. Our next stop on Breakout Wide Receiver Watch is heading to Kansas City, where all eyes are on this Chiefs camp, trying to figure out who that next option in this Chiefs passing game is behind Travis Kelce. The departure of Juju Smith-Schuster and Mecole Hardman accounts for 135 targets. And I'm here to tell you that a majority of those targets are going to Sky Moore, whose ADP is wide receiver 49. Sky Moore hype train, it came to a crashing halt in 2022 when the then rookie failed to register more than a 50% snap share in any game and posted just a 23% route participation rate, which led to 33 receptions and just 250 yards, with his best fantasy finish coming in week number 11 against the Chargers, where he finished as wide receiver 33 after hauling in 5 of 6 targets for just 63 yards, which is pretty much right on par with anything that Kadarius Toney could do. Now, Rashee Rice, he's a rookie. Justin Ross, he's basically a rookie. And Kadarius Toney has hamstrings that put him about 106 years old. So the opportunity to become the top receiver on this Chiefs team, it is there for the taking. Now, according to PFF, Moore still managed to earn a 76.0 PFF receiving grade and a surprising 19% target per route run percentage. Now, I don't often listen to coach speak, but when the quarterback starts to speak, I tend to listen, especially when it comes to his weapons. Mahomes and Moore have been making plays throughout training camp, and yes, I get it, it is training camp, but Mahomes has spoken highly of his second-year wideout. The bottom line here is, if Juju Smith-Schuster, yes, that Juju Smith-Schuster could earn 101 targets from the slot, then whoever earns that slot role in this Chiefs offense is going to be in line for a heavy workload. And right now, that player just happens to be Moore. And last but not least, we have Romeo Doubs. Romeo, where art thou, Romeo? Well, there's a good chance he is slipping by a defender and finding himself wide open. DBs may not be able to find him, but you better be able to. I like to comp Dobbs to Tyler Lockett, while his running mate Christian Watson fills that DK Metcalf role. And here's the best part. He's coming off the board as the 59th receiver. That's behind Jameson Williams, who is suspended for the first 6 games of the season. You can't tell me that Dobbs can't put up more fantasy production than Jameson Williams while he's missing 6 games. Now let's look at the most recent utilization for Dobbs during the preseason, shall we? Dobbs has a 100% route participation rate with Jordan Love on the field, seeing 25% of a target share there, while his targets per route run rate is at 22%. The biggest takeaway, though, has been by far that 25.5 average depth of target and that 61% air yards that we've seen in that second preseason game. Again, it's preseason, but Dobbs is the clubhouse leader when it comes to his receiving grade that comes in at 89.9, and that is thanks in part to that 18.3 yards per reception, that 3.84 yards per route run, and that 158.3 passer rating when targeted. We know that Jordan Love, he isn't going to be afraid to grip it and rip it, and that's going to benefit both Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. Once again, here are the 3 receivers that are going to break out in 2023. Jahan Dotson, we know he can catch touchdowns. Now with Terry McLaurin dealing with that toe injury, more opportunities are coming his way. Sky Moore, speaking of opportunities, plenty of vacated targets are available in this Chiefs offense from the slot. And Romeo Doubs, Jordan Love is swinging with power, and you can expect that Romeo Doubs has that home run potential. Thanks again for watching, and let me know in the comments below which wide receivers you're expecting to break out here in 2023. And be sure to hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed to the RotoBaller YouTube channel for plenty more fantasy football analysis.